You can read a good story and imagine the world in your mind, but when you listen, you hear the feelings and sounds, so everything feels real. Sometimes it is hard to understand all the words, and listening can help you learn more every day. Hi, my name is Michael, and I'm happy to talk with you today. Let me tell you a story about reading is fun, but listening is key. Imagine you sit in your favorite chair with a good book. The pages feel soft in your hands, and the story pulls you in. You read about new places and funny people, and you start to see everything in your mind. For a moment, you forget your room and travel somewhere else. That feeling is special, right? But here's the interesting part. Sometimes it's hard to understand every word in a book. Maybe you stop and look at a word, or you try to guess the meaning from the sentence. It can feel slow, and you want to know what happens next. So one day, what can you do if you want to enjoy the story without getting stuck? This is where listening comes in. That's when you listen to a story, you hear the way words sound and how people talk. You can understand feelings from the voice, not just the words on the page. And then you can listen while you walk, cook, or relax, so stories are always with you. Imagine Sarah walking to school in the morning. She puts on her headphones and starts listening to a story about a boy and his dog. The boy in the story is laughing, and Sarah can hear the happy sound in his voice. She feels like she is right there with them, even though she is just walking down her street. It's a small thing, but it makes her morning better. Later, when Sarah gets home, she helps her mom in the kitchen. While they cook, the story continues. This time, the boy in the story is scared because he hears a strange noise outside. Sarah listens closely, and she can hear the fear in his voice, not just the words. She looks at her mom and smiles, because she understands what the character feels. The interesting part is, Sarah remembers the story better when she hears it. She can talk about the story with her friends the next day, and she even remembers some new words. Listening helps her feel the story, not just read it. And then, it makes every part of her day a little more special. One afternoon, Sarah is walking to school with her friend Emma. They laugh as they talk about the story they listened to last night. Emma says she likes the part with the funny dog, and Sarah remembers the dog's name right away. It feels good to share the story, and they both smile. The walk to school seems faster because they are talking about something they enjoy. At lunch, Sarah hears two boys at the next table talking about the same story. She feels a little nervous, but she decides to join the conversation. She tells them about her favorite part, and they listen to her. One boy, Jake, says he never remembers the small details, but Sarah does. Honestly, she feels proud because listening to the story helped her remember so much. Later that day, Sarah's teacher asks the class a question about the story. Sarah is ready, so she raises her hand. She gives a good answer, and the teacher nods with a big smile. For Sarah, listening is not just fun, it helps her feel more confident at school. After class, Sarah walks to the school library. She wants to find more stories like the one she heard in class. So she looks at the shelves and picks up a book with a bright blue cover. The librarian, Mrs. Brown, sees Sarah and comes over to help. Mrs. Brown suggests an audiobook, saying you can listen and read at the same time. Sarah likes this idea, so she borrows both the book and the audiobook. When Sarah gets home, she sits on her bed with her headphones. She listens to the story, following the words with her finger in the book. Sometimes she hears a new word, but she does not stop. She just listens carefully, and soon the meaning becomes clear from the story. It feels easier to understand the story when she listens and reads together. Sarah's mom comes in and sees her smiling, enjoying the story. Her mom asks if she likes this new way of learning, and Sarah nods. She says, "Listening makes everything easier, and it helps me remember more." Her mom is happy to see her so excited, and she promises to help Sarah find more audiobooks next week. The next day at school, Sarah tells her friend Emma about the audiobook. Emma looks surprised because she usually reads books with her eyes, not her ears. Sarah explains how listening helps her remember stories and new words. Emma thinks about it for a moment, then she says she wants to try listening too. They both feel excited to share something new. At lunch, the girls sit together and talk about their favorite stories. Sarah plays a short part of her audiobook for Emma on her phone, and Emma listens closely. She smiles and says the story sounds interesting, and the voice makes it fun. Sarah feels proud because she helped her friend find a new way to enjoy books. They decide to listen to another story together after school. Later that afternoon, Sarah and Emma walk home, talking about what they heard. The sun is warm, and they both feel happy. Emma says, "I never knew listening could be so much fun," and Sarah laughs. They agree to ask their teacher if they can listen to stories in class sometimes, because it helps them learn in a different way. The next day at school, Sarah and Emma wait for their teacher, Mrs. Brown, to come in. They feel a little nervous, but also excited, because they really want to share their idea. That's when Mrs. Brown enters the classroom. Emma raises her hand first. She says, "We liked listening to stories yesterday," and Sarah adds, "It helped us understand more." There is a short pause, and then Mrs. Brown smiles. She says, "That sounds like a great idea, girls," and the whole class looks interested. Mrs. Brown asks, "Who else would like to listen to stories together?" Almost every hand goes up, which makes Sarah and Emma grin. Mrs. Brown nods and says, "Okay, we can try listening to a story every Friday." The kids start to whisper and laugh because they are excited about this new plan. After school, Sarah and Emma walk home again, feeling proud. They talk about which stories they hope to hear first, and Sarah says, "I hope we can listen to a mystery story." Emma nods and says, "Or maybe a funny one, because those always make me smile." The afternoon feels special, and the girls know they started something new for their class. When Sarah gets home, she sits at the kitchen table and takes out her notebook. She writes down a list of story ideas, and she feels excited because there are so many possibilities. Her little brother, Tom, walks in and asks what she is doing. Sarah smiles and says, "We are going to listen to stories in class now, and I want to help pick some good ones." Tom thinks that sounds cool, so he asks if he can help too. Emma is at home too, and she tells her mom about the new idea. Her mom listens and says, "That sounds wonderful, Emma. Listening to stories can make reading more interesting." Emma feels happy, and she starts thinking about which stories she likes best. She remembers one about a talking dog, and she laughs to herself because that story always makes her giggle. The house feels warm and safe, and Emma can't wait to share her ideas with Sarah tomorrow. That night, Both girls think about their favorite stories as they get ready for bed. Sarah wonders if listening to stories will help her class enjoy reading even more. Emma hopes everyone will laugh and have fun together, just like she does when she hears a good story. The night feels full of dreams, and the next day at school is already on their minds. The next morning, Sarah wakes up early because she feels excited about her idea. She eats her breakfast quickly, grabs her backpack, and leaves for school with a big smile. On the way, she thinks about which story to share with her class, and she hopes Emma will help her. The air is cool and fresh, and the sun is shining, so everything feels possible. When Sarah gets to school, she finds Emma waiting near the classroom door. Emma is holding a small book, and her eyes are bright. They talk for a minute, and then Sarah shares her plan. She wants to read a story out loud for everyone, and she asks Emma to help with the funny voices. Emma laughs because she loves doing silly voices, and she says yes right away. So when class starts, Sarah tells their teacher about the idea. The teacher smiles and says it sounds great, so Sarah and Emma stand in front of everyone. Sarah reads the story slowly, and Emma changes her voice for each character. The whole class listens closely, and soon kids start to laugh at the funny voices. For a moment, the room is full of smiles, and Sarah feels proud. After the story, a student named Tom raises his hand. He says he wants to try reading with a friend, too, because it looks fun. The teacher nods and lets Tom and Jake come to the front. So they pick a short story from the big book on the table. Tom starts to read, and Jake tries to make his voice sound like a robot, which makes everyone laugh again. Now, more students want to join in, and the classroom is full of excitement. Some kids listen carefully, while others practice their voices quietly with their friends. The teacher walks around the room giving small tips and smiling because everyone is sharing and learning together. You can feel that the class is closer just from listening and reading together. And here's the interesting part. Sarah notices something new. That's when she listens to her friends. She understands the story better than before, and the pictures in her mind are clearer. She feels happy, not just because she read, but because listening helped her enjoy the story in a new way. Later that day, Sarah sits with her brother Tom at the kitchen table. Tom is eating a sandwich, and Sarah tells him about the story she read. She describes the brave dog and the big adventure, and Tom listens closely, smiling at her words. For a moment, Sarah feels proud because she can share the story in her own way. Tom asks her questions, and Sarah answers, remembering the details she heard and read. She realizes that listening to the story helped her remember more, so now she can talk about it easily. Tom laughs at the funny parts, and Sarah feels even more excited to read and listen to new stories. You know, sometimes sharing a story makes it even better. That evening, Sarah thinks about her day while she gets ready for bed. She is still smiling, and she decides to try listening to more stories tomorrow. She wonders what new adventures she will hear next, and she feels ready to learn more. For Sarah, every story is now a chance for something special. Reading is fun, and listening helps you understand even more, so try both. You learn more than you think, and every day you get better.